Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils. I'm Jesse Morrison alongside Damon Allred. Jeremy Schnell is already in Arlington for the Big 12 Championship, but we have a special guest filling his place, Arizona State Athletic Director Graham Rossini. Graham, how are you doing today?
Good morning, guys. Pretty fired up. It's a great day to be a Sun Devil.
Yeah, it's a big week for the program all around, right?
Yeah, we got a lot going on. Good situation to be in. Many sports underway. Pretty big game in Arlington tomorrow, so we're riding the wave.
And just going into the game tomorrow, just how has the excitement been? Just around the offices.
Yeah, it's pretty electric all over campus right now, and it's a fun time of year. It's holiday season. We're winding down the fall semester. We've got finals starting next week. Amongst everything else going on, so a lot underway, but a lot of excitement and energy at all levels. And I've heard from a few people today that are at the airport, and they mentioned just the presence of ASU T-shirts all over Sky Harbor Airport's a pretty good indicator that there's a lot of people heading, obviously, to Texas for the football game tomorrow. So, we're pretty fired up. There's a lot of energy, a lot of momentum. We've got volleyball starting the NCAA tournament this afternoon at Desert Financial Arena. Hockey's back home with a really big series as they're getting into conference play. We've got swim and dive at home. Basketball team off this weekend, but a big win against San Diego a couple nights ago. Women's basketball on the road. So we've got Sun Devils all over. We're just trying to activate in all of these different opportunities that we find ourselves in.
And with this being your first season at the helm, really, like in the full-time position, everything has come together so fast, it seems. Logistically, how has this all been dealt with, from football to volleyball to everything? Yeah,
we've got an unbelievable team in the athletic department. We've got 300 people within athletics, a number of people throughout ASU that touch the work that we do. And so we've really just tried to focus a lot on the collaboration and linking arms and making sure that we're mindful of all these opportunities that are in front of us. And it's been really exciting to see the fan base respond in everything that we're doing. And as we talked about, we were all together on day one. So it's kind of fun to have this maybe 6 or 7 month look later and try to focus on controlling the controllables and make improvements in the things that we could quickly to make it easier to be a Sun Devil fan in terms of affordability and access to our big moments, and then letting that start to build this full circle mindset where fans come and have a good time. They bring energy that helps teams win. Winning makes more people want to come into the conversation, and you keep building this flywheel effect of controlling a great experience and trying to find ways to improve in all ways that we can that allow our coaches to feed off the energy and resources that the fan base is bringing in. And so it's really a credit to all the employees in Sun Devil Athletics and at ASU. It's a huge credit to the fan base for stepping up to help make these moments happen and unlock these opportunities. And so I'm just proud. I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm proud to be a spoke in the wheel of Sun Devils coming together to create these magical moments, these incredible outcomes, and we want to keep building it. We're at the point where we're having some tastes of success. We're not satisfied. We want more. We've got higher aspirations, and so we're working hard every day to figure out what's that next opportunity that we can pursue or unlock to keep driving change in all ways.
As for the football program, in your first year, obviously picked last in the preseason poll. There's been a lot made about that. Players kind of thought it could be a special season, though, and Coach Dillingham said he could envision about 7 wins. From an administrative standpoint, did you envision this football program having this much success this season?
No, I think it's unfair for any of us to say that, we saw this coming. This was right around the corner. What was always most important for us going into the season is that we started to build that spirit of togetherness and that there was a really positive trend line in the direction of our football program. And a lot of credit to Coach Dillingham. The work that he's accomplished with his staff in 2 years is remarkable. And even though last year was 3-9, there were probably 3 or 4 other games that were a possession or a break away from being, potentially even a signature win. And so even last year, there was a sense of the right pieces are coming together, and we needed the personnel to match the mindset and the culture that the coaches were looking to build. And so obviously heavy roster turnover in the offseason and, many new faces into the roster. And so I think it was hard for anybody to really have a sense of what this team was going to be capable of doing. It's a lot of new faces, a lot of guys who were at big programs and maybe didn't get a chance to play or showcase themselves in a way that led people to understand the talent that was on the roster. And so picked last in the preseason, well documented at this point, but as we got into summer workouts and the fall training camp, there was a sentiment of, hey, there's talent here. And the coach is putting a lot of work to help the talent evolve and develop quickly. But more importantly, the spirit of togetherness and the brotherhood that was starting to develop in the program, where you could tell that these guys were very proud to represent the Sun Devils, to play for ASU, to come together on behalf of each other and to keep pushing the envelope. And so I remember talking to a few media members right around Camp T that said, hey, there's talent. Like, there's some signs of a really good team in front of us, but we didn't know what the Big 12 was going to look like. You're going into a new environment. And I think the ability to make a prediction would have been different had we been in a familiar Pac-12 versus going into the unknown of a new conference where, there were 12 teams that had been together. There were the 4 ones that we knew coming in, but hard for anybody to really have a crystal ball that made a lot of sense. But again, I think most important was showing a good trend line. Bowl eligibility was certainly something that we were aspirationally thinking about. Get to 6-7 wins, get into a bowl game, show the fan base that this is trending in the right direction. We wanted to keep pushing on, increasing resources into football and giving the coaches the tools that they need to be successful. But yeah, sitting here a day away from competing for the Big 12 championship was not something that we were dreaming about, but we're in it.
And you mentioned it right there, the financial resources. Have you noticed already the impact of what winning can do for financial support?
Yeah, absolutely. And we spent a lot of time in the summertime tweaking departmental budgets to make sure that we could make investment into our teams and right-sizing parts of our operation, really retooling our leadership team, finding more dollars that we could put into the sports-specific budgets. We grew the football budget probably 45% going into the season, just operational budgets. So how they travel, how they feed athletes, some of the tools and technologies that they rely on, and making sure that we were building support in their day-to-day operating budget. And then really, as we earn ticket revenue or find new corporate partnerships or increase our donor base, all those are dollars that real time we're feeding back into the operation. And we announced a couple of weeks ago that we retained Marcus Arroyo, Brian Ward, our coordinators. And that was a result of the success that we're having this fall. And the fact that partners like Align Technology stepped up into a significant multi-million-dollar partnership. They've got branding and representation at Mountain America Stadium, inside Desert Financial Arena, inside Mullet Arena, some incredible attributes in that partnership. But those dollars, real time, were what allowed us to step up and retain coordinators that were going to be very sought after in the offseason. And I point back to probably the Utah game as a moment where you could tell the Sun Angel Collective was starting to get a really higher traffic and increased monthly memberships and new people signing up and joining it. And at that point in the season, you started to see the resources picking up a lot, whether that's for NIL, whether it was people that were ready to renew their season tickets. We went out the gate early on selling tickets for next year as we get into the 7-game home schedule, and wanted to make sure that we're in the holiday season, and Sun Devil season tickets are the perfect holiday stuffer, obviously. And all those things have been in play. And so we've definitely noticed an uptick in everything. Donor engagement, new people coming to the table, NIL support, new corporate partners. And that's important. The cost of doing business in college sports is changing. That's been very well documented. But we want to build the kind of experience that people want to be a part of, because it's a great time. It's a great way to come together. Business community sees value in marketing through the Sun Devils. Companies understand the merits of NIL in both getting the promotion of their product or service. But what's really been fun to see in NIL is that companies see the intrinsic value in investing into a young person and providing a professional network, providing resume experience, providing access that when football's done, that they've got an ability to go walk into corporate America and be a superhuman, because they're well educated, they're disciplined and accountable because they've been an athlete, they handle stressful moments, they're good communicators, they're good teammates, but they've also used NIL as a way to build a portfolio and a resume. And so, yes, trend line is good in all aspects. We want to keep driving as much of that as we can, and just so appreciative of the support that's been coming in.
And you mentioned the extensions for the coordinators. As far as Coach Dillingham goes, just where are the extension talks at with Coach Dillingham?
Yeah, we're close to it. It's progressing. There's a mutual commitment that he wants to be a Sun Devil for life. We want to do everything we can to make him a Sun Devil for life. our thought process, and coach has been a part of it as well, is let's retain the staff first and foremost. Let's be ready for retaining the roster and being aggressive in the portal on the pieces that we need. We'll be ready for that next week. And then as we wind down the season, we'll have that conversation with coach on next steps and what makes sense there. But he wants to be a Sun Devil for life. We want him to be a Sun Devil for life. That's the commitment across the board. And, we'll continue going down that road.
And I've heard a lot made about this 5-year limit on contracts that the Board of Regents has. Has there been any obstacle in terms of length of contract in those talks at all?
No, I think that's a part of the puzzle. There are, a variety of aspects that go into a contract process, and there's different ways to work around to create incentives and structure that makes sense. So we don't see that as a limiting factor, and that's a part of the dynamic in our state. We respect that, and we'll advance in all the ways that we're able to.
Over to the college football playoff rankings. Obviously, Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark made some comments a few days ago just about how he doesn't believe that a group of 5 teams should be ahead of a Power 4 team in the playoff rankings or in the bracket. What do you think about that? And do you think that, if the Big 12 champion should definitely get that first round bye?
Yeah, I mean, I do believe that there is, when you're in the Power 4 conversation and you're one of these heavyweight conferences, that carries some weight, and that's important. And where it goes from here, it's out of our hands at this moment. I think that's an important conversation that we'll have getting into the offseason and as we advance in future planning. The reality is we got to win the game in Arlington, and we win, and that unlocks some new potentials for us. And so we're focused on the outcomes that we can control, knowing that if we win, we're in the CFP. Where we get sent first, what that looks like, to be determined. That's a new process. Everybody's evolving and adjusting that together. We'll actually be together next week for Monday and Tuesday. We've got 80 meetings in Las Vegas. This will be a big topic of discussion, and so much is changing in our environment. And even living in the first year of an expanded CFP, there was a lot of conversation in the spring about, can we get this done in time? Is there the right structure in place? It was important to get into the season with the expanded playoff. The decision was made to go to 12 teams. There was obviously conversation about doing different numbers at different points, but this is the situation that we're in. And it may be subjective, it may be imperfect, but it is what it is at this moment. And so we're trying to focus our best energy on the outcomes that we can affect. That's winning a football game. And so that gets us into a conversation, again, that we weren't anticipating being a part of. And as we get to this level and build our sustainability and build our way to stay in this conversation in the near term, the conversation takes on a different form at that point moving forward. And so, it's best in the hands of the league office. I know the commissioner is very passionate about this. They're doing a lot of hard work behind the scenes to create awareness. We're very proud of the Big 12. We're very proud of our resume as a conference and the success that not only the Big 12 football teams have had, but also what we've done at ASU. We're 10-2. We're competing for the Big 12 championship. We've got 3 wins against ranked teams. Our strength of schedule, within the conference and a lot of these common opponents that are being talked about, we're proud of beating an SEC team. We're proud of how we handled Wyoming, who's a very good program, and Texas State, who's a very good program. Those were convincing wins early in the season. And so really our mindset is control what we can control, and that's getting a football team ready to go compete and win a game tomorrow.
And given all that strength of schedule talk, and you mentioned it right there, beating an SEC team this year, does it give you added excitement knowing that you have SEC opponents booked for kind of the next decade?
Yeah, we've got that on the book, and I think there's a lot of merit to having that difficult scheduling approach. Admittedly, there's a lot of conversation in the industry right now about how do you navigate a non-conference schedule, and are there changes? And the SEC's talked about going to a 9-game schedule. That could happen in the near future and potentially affect some of those games. So, again, those are off-season conversations. There's so much in the air right now in terms of just the overall environment in Division I and FBS football. So we'll see what it means moving forward. We do have a number of commitments, I think, through 2032 within the SEC. Those are valuable and attractive matchups in a lot of ways, but we do need to be thinking through what's the best situation for us as we schedule and as we want to design a pathway for optimum CFP success.
And this game tomorrow being in Texas, just what does that do for recruiting and just the overall brand of ASU, to be at Jerry World in Texas playing for the Big 12 championship?
Yeah, it is incredible. And the fact that we're playing our third game in the state of Texas, there's an opportunity for even more beyond this weekend. That's very valuable, Jesse, as you mentioned. And so, Texas is important in a lot of conversations. It's important to ASU as an institution. It's our third highest state for enrollment. There's tremendous alumni presence in the DFW area throughout the state. There's no doubt that it's a recruiting hotbed, and we've made tremendous progress successfully recruiting Texas and having the games early in the season. Texas State, we talked a lot about that big win on ESPN on a Thursday night, and the fact that our coaches stayed in the state, canvassed it on a Friday night lights in the state of Texas to have recruiting contact and get a couple key commitments that weekend. And now we're back at AT&T Stadium, and it's the pride and joy of football fans in Texas, and what a platform. And there's no doubt we've got a number of people on the ground. We've got advertising in place. There's billboards all over Texas right now celebrating the fact that the Sun Devils are in the Big 12 championship and reminding people in the market of all the great things happening at ASU. We've got dozens and hundreds of fans that are traveling. We're going to take over Texas Live, which is right next to AT&T Stadium tonight and tomorrow morning. So it's significant. A lot of our donors are there. Some of our best athletic donors are right there in the state of Texas. They're going to be with us at the game. We've got some great ASU and Dallas Cowboy legends that'll be with us this weekend. Darren Woodson, Jim Jeffcoat, Bob Bruning, Danny White, and some others that'll be there. And so we're trying to build that awareness and connection about the Sun Devils in the state of Texas everywhere that we can. And that'll be a big part of our strategy and messaging going into the trip this week.
All right, bit of a fun one for you.
This is fun.
All the fans, multiple fans, not all of the fans, but a lot of the fans love the Sparky helmets. It's been 3 weeks in a row of the Sparky helmets. Could those become the primary look again going forward? Is there any chance of that?
Well, this is a really interesting question. There's so much conversation about our uniforms, and I think we do need to dive into, we've got a variety of looks. They've all been well received. It's fun to see the different matchups. Our players have a huge voice in the uniform combinations, and so the Pat Tillman Leadership Council is the group that really sits down and kind of maps out the uniforms. And now we're playing in house money with some additional games, and we're all superstitious in sports. Everybody can agree with that. And so we're riding the hot hand with a Sparky helmet. Sparky's our mascot. Sparky's been a big part of our identity. And so there's this notion of bringing Sparky back. Like, Sparky's always been here. This is a celebrated mascot in our space. And so, maroon and gold are our colors. We embrace that. The pitchfork has great presence and great importance. Sparky is iconic. We love any chance that we get to showcase Sparky. So we do have some fun uniform ideas in the hopper with Adidas in the coming years. I'll tease that we've got a really talented design team at Adidas that's putting incredible effort into some historical tributes and some theme uniforms and some new fresh looks moving forward. Our friends at Adidas will be with us this weekend in Arlington as well. And so, yeah, Sparky, we're riding the hot hand. So that's what I'll say about that.
Awesome. That's a great tease. And then we know you're a busy guy, especially this week, so we'll get you out of here very shortly. But moving on to some of the stuff happening at Desert Financial Arena this week. Obviously, it was a pretty good crowd for the basketball game earlier this week. Great stuff going on with the volleyball program. First off, with the basketball team, how cool is it to see the hot start they're off to this season, especially knowing that some of the big ticket, NIL getters are some of the ones that are propelling this team forward right now?
It's been a lot of fun. And, we played the exhibition game in Duke, and I think everybody was kind of unsure what to make of the score and the outcome. And again, that trip was designed for a lot of reasons. Obviously, a chance to celebrate Coach Hurley going back to his alma mater, and a chance to celebrate the Duke brotherhood. That's been such a big part of his story and his journey. We took a lot of donors on that trip. It was a great chance to give some of our best fans a really look at an iconic venue at Cameron Indoor and some time with Coach K, and just a really cool weekend. And then there was a game to play, and it was an exhibition game, and preseason games can be misleading. That was one where we didn't perform the way that we expected, but the coaches use that. They use that performance. They use that setting to reinforce that, hey, we want to be in a situation of March Madness where we're on the road and the environment is similar, and there's a lot of attention and distractions with media obligations and VIP experiences. And so I think in hindsight, it was everything we needed that trip to be in terms of rewarding our fans and donors and putting our team in an environment that is aspirational as we get deeper into the year. And so I'm just glad that we were able to use it. That very first game of the season, I think there was a lot of like, hey, we won the game, but there's a lot that we need to tighten up. And then you quickly saw this progression game by game of the team starting to work out some kinks. And again, basketball, there's such high turnover on that roster right now that their ability to come together as a team and play as a basketball program is always a key part of that sport's success. And we've been seeing that week by week. We've started to see tendencies emerge and roles get defined and guys start to really understand how to play off one another on court the way that we do. And there's no doubt there's been some pretty amazing performances across the roster. But I look at the presence of Alston Mason. He's kind of the steadying force on the court. He's just that classic point guard that's no moment's too big for him. He's poised and he's setting all the guys in motion and setting them up for success. BJ Freeman's been great. Bashir Jihad's been great. Adam Miller, Ace, is taking on a really key leadership role on this roster. And then the young guys, Amir Ali, JQ, Josan Sanan, man, these guys are fun to watch. And it's fun to get excited about the brand of basketball that's starting to develop. And it's high energy. It's offensive. The defensive plays are explosive. You know, JQ blocked that shot, sent it into the third or fourth row a couple nights ago. That was amazing to see. And it's been really fun to see them come together. It's exciting. And, you know, we've got a couple more games before we get into the Big 12. That's going to be a gauntlet. That's going to be highly entertaining. That's a grown man's basketball league. And so we're really, you know, use these next couple of weeks to get ready for the spring semester and the Big 12 schedule and can't wait to see what we do with it.
And over to the volleyball team, just how big is it to be hosting, you know, the first two rounds of, or the first round of the NCAA tournament at DFA this weekend?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And, you know, becoming a volleyball school was a goal of ours. I mean, this is an incredible volleyball market here in the Valley. There's so much talent in club volleyball in Arizona. And it was always frustrating and very irritating when we were in the Pac-12 that you'd play these other Pac-12 schools. And I'd make a point every game to look at the roster and you'd see 3 or 4 or 5 young women that were from the Valley that were competing against us at Oregon or at Cal or at Colorado or at U of A. And that was just really irritating knowing that there was such volleyball talent in the market and we just needed to be able to harness that. And then Coach Van Niel comes in and totally transforms this program, builds an incredible coaching staff with, you know, somebody like Presley Anderson, who's such a known commodity in the Valley, and her success at Hamilton, her success, I think she was on Storm Elite in her club days. And so having that local presence, her dad was an All-American at ASU, wrestler and football player. And so having that local connection, but then building out the rest of the coaching staff with great recruiting relationships nationally. Ellen Andrews has been amazing in her network recruiting and, you know, bringing in talent and having to rely on the portal, but really building a system of a team of complementary pieces. You know, we probably had more individual star power last year with a player like Marta Levinska, who was an All-American and having great success in professional volleyball in Europe. This team right now is more well-balanced in our opinion. And you've got veterans like Jelly Sear and Claire Jeter and Roberta Ravella who have been a part of this build, and they've been here for tough times in the program. And then you bring in Mary Schroll, hometown hero, unbelievable as a libero, defensive specialist. Argentina Ung coming in from Washington State, hailing from Mexico, and the incredible job that she is, setter of the year in the Big 12, which is pretty amazing, and a number of other pieces that have really helped this team perform at a very high level. And so volleyball's been a blast. I think, you know, you look at the crowds, we've had 6 of our top 10 largest crowds ever in the history of volleyball. 52 years of Sun Devil volleyball, we've had 6 of the best crowds in program history take place this year. And it's not uncommon to walk in now and see 4,500 plus fans at Desert Financial Arena watching Sun Devil volleyball. And that's massively important in our ability to ride the wave. Volleyball as a sport nationally is growing like crazy. ABC is broadcasting the national championship. ABC and ESPN have had a number of regular season games on TV. That's a really strong sign. I think volleyball continues to be a female sport to watch because it's all action. It's highly entertaining. It's better than the male version of the sport. And there's this incredible appeal for the sport that people that see it and watch it fall in love with it. And so we want to continue to invest in that program because it can be very significant for us here at ASU.
Well, Graham, I know you have a lot going on right now, so we will go ahead and let you go. Thanks so much for joining us today on State of the Sun Devils.
Thanks, guys. I got to go pack a bag, and we'll get on a plane here in a couple hours. So can't wait to get to Texas this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Have fun.
Safe travels as well. Good luck to the whole program this weekend.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate all the coverage. Let's have a great weekend.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
See ya.
That was the latest edition of State of the Sun Devils. Make sure to check out us on all the social media platforms at AZ Sports Devils, and then check out the Arizona Sports YouTube channel where most of our podcasts are posted as well. For Damon Allred, I'm Jesse Morrison. We will talk to you guys tomorrow for the big game, 7 a.m. tomorrow. We're going live early for our preview show for the football game. So make sure to tune into that on Arizona Sports 98.7 and the Arizona Sports app.